Alright, so this is the SpeedBee Flex 25 DJI edition here. You can see now this one has the Vista unit, or in this case this is the Runcam Link in the back here. So you've got the Runcam Link antenna, and this one has the new Falcon Nano camera. You can see right there. I'll show you some side-by-side video of this with the Caddx Nebula Nano Pro, or Nebula Pro Nano. And basically they're very similar in terms of size and weight. The Caddx is 3.5 grams, the Falcon Nano is 4 grams. Dimension wise, they're both 14 millimeters wide and 16 millimeters tall. The lens on both of them look very similar, and the specs, they both say they have a diagonal field of view of 150 degrees. But the horizontal and vertical field of views are a little bit different on the Caddx. It's 122 degrees horizontal and 93 vertical. But on the Falcon, it's 118 degrees horizontal and 87 vertical. So I'll show you a little bit of side-by-side footage here a little bit later in the video. But basically, in terms of the field of view, it looks like the Runcam's slightly narrower, a little bit more zoomed in, and a little bit less distortion on the edges of the video. So in terms of the overall image quality and everything like that, I'll talk about that and the differences, but let me just continue on with the rest of the specs. So basically this Falcon camera here is going to be very similar to the other ones that have come before it with the 4.3 sensor. So the original DJI camera with the air unit came with a 4.3 sensor and the 120 FPS mode, and also the 28 millisecond low latency mode. So those are all the things that are unique about these cameras. You got the original DJI camera, then the Nebula Pro camera came out here, and then the Nebula Pro Nano camera came out, and they all share the same characteristics. With the 4.3 sensor, it is switchable to 69 in the goggles, and you can also adjust the contrast and saturation of the video image. All four of these cameras share all those same characteristics, and I believe they're all probably based off of the same sensor that the original DJI camera came with a little bit of tweaks to the firmware, and of course the lenses are a little bit different, so that's why you have a different field of view between the Caddx Nebula Pro Nano and the Falcon Nano. I believe even though the lens looks the same, they have a little bit different look because the lenses are probably a little bit different in terms of internally. On top of that, when you're looking at the image quality, the firmware is slightly different as well. When the first DJI camera came out, it had kind of very cool image, and then the Nebula Pro came out and it was a little bit less cool, a little bit more saturated, a little bit more contrast, and they continue that trend with the Nebula Pro Nano. And I think if you look at the Nebula Pro Nano compared to the Falcon Nano, the Runcam does seem to have a little bit better colors and slightly more natural looking, a little bit more saturation, and a little bit more contrast. The white balance is a little bit more on the warmer side, versus if you go all the way back to like the DJI camera, it's a very cool white balance. So there's very subtle differences. I mean, they're not huge differences, and the image quality is excellent on all four of these cameras. So it kind of really boils down to what you might prefer over the other ones, and this is it's going to be very subjective. I feel like the image on the Falcon Nano and across all the other cameras that are 4.3 native sensors are all excellent images, very flyable, very good field of view, and I don't really have any reason not to recommend the Falcon Nano compared to the other three that came before it. Now, I don't know if there's any other 4.3 sensor DJI FPV cameras out there. If you guys know of any more, let me know in the comments, because I'm not aware of any more. But yeah, as I said, this camera is basically, these four are the only ones that can do 4.3 69 switchable, contrast and saturation adjustable in the goggle settings, and they also have the low latency mode. Now, a couple things to note about the Falcon Nano. As far as I know, is what they've told me, was at least what Runcam has told me, This is only available in this kit where you get the Runcam link with the camera. It currently isn't sold by itself. Like you can buy the Nebula Pro Nano by itself without the Vista, but the way they are selling it right now is camera with the basically the link unit or the Vista unit together with the antenna, I believe, as a bundle, or you can buy it in this Flex 25 bind and fly. But currently the camera isn't available by itself. I will add links to other stores if they do come available by itself, and I'm sure it will at some point in the future. I'm sure, you know, this sensor is probably not that easy to acquire, so there's probably supply issues, etc. So you'll probably have to check back later on this video and check the video description if you want to see links to other stores. But yeah, right now it's currently only being sold at the Runcam store. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link 2 flights, one from the Nebula Pro Nano and one from the Falcon Nano. You can watch those in your browser and do like your own side-by-side if you want. They're in the same park. I try to kind of fly them similarly, but you know, it's not exactly 100%. But yeah, you should be able to do your own side-by-side. Just open up 2 browser windows and basically look at both those videos. I believe I've upscaled them to 1440p, so you should have the best resolution. So make sure your browsers or your YouTube settings are set to 1440p, so you get the full resolution of the video, so you can actually see what it's like. And then the videos were recorded in 50 megabits and high quality modes. Basically, I went for image quality over latency for you guys to sort of examine the video quality. In terms of latency, I'm sure that you guys are wondering, it's pretty much exactly the same. I haven't noticed any differences in latency between these 4 cameras and between these 2. You know, when you were in either low latency mode or high quality mode, the latency to me feels pretty much identical. So if you're worried about that, I don't notice any differences at all. And I wouldn't expect there to be, because it's basically the same sensor and the same video transmitter. So I don't see any reason why there would be any differences in the latency. Okay, so that's going to do it for this one. Links to the products and the other videos down in the video description. Got any questions, let me know, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.